So we have an input type, which is text. We have an input type, which is numeric or number. And now we're going to have another look in task 7 and an input type, but this time it's going to be a date. And this is very fancy looking when we see it in our browser. And it's great for people who want to select a particular date. There are different formats for the way we can do the date. We can have date and time or just date, but we will look simply at the date. So we're going to amend our code. And again, we're beginning to get into the pattern now where we're going to have a BR, we're going to have a div, we're going to have a label, and the label will match a particular element. So in this case, in here, we have a label, and inside the label, or after the label, sorry, we have a div where we're going to have some help. So we like this little bit of help to be small. So we use a small tag, and it'll have the words, the date must match or whatever. So we can see a small in here. So once again, we will add that code into our editor, remembering all the time that this is within the form. Everything doesn't have to be in the form, but in this case, we want this information to be in the form. Earlier on, we saw that information was outside of the form, which was our headers, H1, H2, and H5. So not everything goes inside the form. That's our code pasted in now. Again, div, label, end label, div, end div, small, end small. So again, with the label, we will have some sort of an input. And in this case, the input is going to be of type date. And we'll see what that looks like when we see it in our browser. So we'll paste our code or type our code into the editor, input type date. We've given it an ID and we've given it a name. And going back to the other ones that we had, I had name in here first and then the ID. But in this case, I have ID first and then name second. It is irrelevant. These are just attributes, and the ID is unique, and the name doesn't have to be unique. So the ID is uniquely identifying this control compared to all of the other controls. In the number input, we talked about a max and a min. And in this case, we've set a minimum value to be the 18th of the 9th, 2018. So the 9th month, September, and the 18th day in 2018. Now, we could do that for any of the numeric controls or the date controls. I could also set a maximum date, which would have been today, because the registered date can't be really past today, unless some special circumstances. But again, if we were now to look at that in the browser, do a refresh, we can see that what we have here is this small. So it's a wee bit of help. So you can see it gives us DD, MM, YYY, or whatever format you have. And when I click on this control button here, I will get a calendar, a date picker. I can use the up arrow. I can use the down arrow. And I can keep going, but I could never go past the minimum date that we put in. I can also clear, or I can pick today. I could clear, I can pick any date. So I'll go back and I'll just pick one. So I'll go, let's say, the 5th. Nice little control that gives us our date picker. So the input type is a date. It is a control that provides us with a calendar from which we can choose our date. We have added an attribute to the input which sets the minimum date, but we could also set the maximum date if we wanted. And the small element is used to create a small font. So when we browsed, we can see that we get a control something like this. Different browsers will maybe show it in a different format, and if you're on a mobile device, it could be different again. It may be like a spinner of some sort.